uh, you get 2 tickets, you go in, you speak to him for 2 minutes, and maybe you take photos at the end if if you want photos or whatever. Uh, so I uh I uh I pretty much was like, okay, what are new things to talk to him about this time? Well, for one thing, a new Mario game is going to be releasing sometime October, I believe. So I know Ren is probably anticipating to play that new game that's coming out. So I asked him about that. Another thing I was going to talk to him about is the recent release of Casket. And I talked to him about how, I really appreciate the message that's in the song Casket. I like that a lot. I talked to him about like bringing grass. So when I went into the booth again this time and I put on the headphones, you know what the first thing he says to me is, "I saw that you brought grass." I was all like, "Hi again," and then he says, "OMG, I heard Casket." Yeah, Casket, really great song, love it. It's about okay, so uh wait, Laylee, how much do you know about the lyrics in Casket? So then I can I'll still explain it, but yeah. While you're answering that question, I'll just talk about like the grass. Yeah, not much. Okay, okay, okay. But yeah, no, great song, love it. And it holds like a very dear meaning to me because of how he's explained the meaning of the lyrics and what I interpret the lyrics as and how closely similar those are as opposed to how other people interpret the song. But maybe we'll just go line by line. You know what? Yeah, I'll pull up the lyrics right now. We'll go line by line. Or for uh some of the lines, not every line, but like some of the lines that I find important. So the first part goes, "Listen when they tell you take it easy. My empathy redeems me, but maybe it'd be better off abandoned and buried in the sand." Okay, already the opening, when I watched it at the premiere, sucked me in. It sucked me in, okay? Because I immediately could feel what emotion this draws out of me. And so when it's talking about listen when they tell you take it easy, like, oh, whoa, whoa, he's talked about how, like, it's a song about haters who are seeking your downfall. There's just people who are so hyper obsessed with you that, they're maybe the type of people who just don't understand you and just they really hate you online or hate you for some kind of reason. And they just are just so vocal about it. But then you are the person that they're talking to, and you're like, hey, take it easy. Stop being a hater, right? Like, you're hating too much, but it seems like you shouldn't be hating at all, right? Why go on the internet and just express hate, right? The next part is my empathy redeems me. So it's talking about how there's this person who's coming at you with all this hate, but then you respond back with empathy. You don't respond back with hate. So they're hating on you for something that you did that they don't like, and you're like, hey, take it easy. And then you explain to them a lot about my favorite part is come back like elastic. Yeah, no, I love that part. I love all of the song. I love all of the song. Everything to every detail. That uh the part about like my empathy redeems me. I know that I am also a very empathetic person. When I see something, when haters come at me, and that's why this song feels like so relevant to me, is because of the people obsessed with my downfall. But my mentality is never to fight back with the same energy they do. You stand above them by being like better in a sense that you are not hateful. If you are not hateful towards someone who's hateful towards you, everyone else who's there to witness that is all like, ah, shit, those people who are haters, you're hating on someone who's nice? Why is there anything to hate about them? They're like a nice person. but then the haters are kind of just stuck in the past about like, oh, well, you did this bad thing. And so they, for some reason, are so blind to not be able to see how, like, when you respond back to, like, say, like, hey, you coming back here constantly to keep throwing hate at me is your own form of suffering that you've indentured yourself to, and that is a poor waste of your time, or that's a poor use of your time, and it's just a huge waste when you could be doing something productive for yourself, right? You know that type of message that comes from me when I advocate for that sort of things. That's why I care about this song so much. And then, so the next part, maybe other people don't know what this part is about, but to me, when it reads, but maybe it'd be better off abandoned and buried in the sand, is talking about, well, how it applies personally to me is about how I had this problem, and when I was vocal about it, I got thrown hate at because I knew that if I spoke up about my problem, about not being credited, that hate was going to be thrown at my way. That, like, I thought about, would it be better to have not said anything at all? There's this huge issue in my life. If I threw it away, buried it in the sand, right? Would it have been better off to leave my problem abandoned and buried in the sand and not speak up about this thing and do something that people now have ammo to use against me? Right? And then so that part, when I got to that part in the song during the premiere, I was like, you wrote a song about that? That's what the song's about? Is about, like, you had this, like, supposedly to me, reading more like the subtext or like the undertones or like the context behind the song, I have a strong feeling that the song, and I'm quite confident about this, but like, it's hard to say that I'm confident about it because once again, people are just all like, you're so self-obsessed, so like, it's not about you, it's blah 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 blah. I was all like, you don't know how far back the history goes between what's happened between me and Ren, right? So I hate posing my explanation. Well, if I explained it to chat, and chat who knows me, totally, I can understand that you would agree with my side of things, right? Because, like, you know how empathetic of a person I am. You know how deep of the issue I had was with the community and with him, and that I had this really difficult time about, like, should I bring this up? I know that it would be more peaceful for everybody else if I don't disturb them with this problem. But the thing is, the problem's so big with me. And then so I did end up speaking out about this problem, but I did so very empathetically, talking about, like, oh, I just want to, like, bring this up, and, like, can we resolve the issue, move on, no hard, bury the hatchet, whatever. But then, like, people still came at me about it, and then so me knowing that my reputation was going to get thrown away anyway, like, they buried me, like, please. But I had that whole elaborate scheme about, because of, like, I already knew hate was going to be thrown at me. Then I had this, like, super ultra complicated scheme about how I was actually just going to deliberately throw more hate on me so that later, when I redeem myself after the convention, and then he realizes, it was like, oh shit, this person's not mean, they're actually really empathetic this entire time. Damn, that's really inspiring. Let's write a song about that. No. Anyway, next. It starts going into, I'm living like a daydream. You watch it on your phone screen. I'll never be a stranger bound to shackles, but don't you understand? This part about the song, I know that a long time ago, back in June, he tweets out that, his life feels like a daydream. I feel like as though if he tweeted that out back in June, that's also during the same time period when he was writing the song. Something he was experiencing in his life that led him to feel like he was living in a daydream was occurring that was both something he tweeted out. I burped a little. Sorry. Uh, he tweeted out, but also was something meaningful to him that he was experiencing that he put into the song. To me, personally, if I had a very, 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 very strange theory on this, very, very, very strange and personalized theory on this, but I have my argument that I want to do say that this is true, is that his daydream is getting to witness someone who breaks the rules and thinks about the world differently than most people. That I was the example of like this issue that happened. I brought it up empathetically, even though I have a bunch of haters thrown at me. And I stood up for my values. I didn't throw this away. And when I speak back, I still have haters today. To this day, same people. That like I'm still not hateful towards them. I actually still expressed that I want them to stop hating on me because it would be better for them. It would be better for themselves. I'm telling them I don't really like, yeah, you can keep kind of like throwing hate at me, but like that's kind of really bad for you, right? Me being able to express that online, for him to witness how I handle these situations, to me, I think that's the daydream he's living, is getting to see someone. Like, if I had to really guess, he says, I am living like a daydream. What is his daydream, right? He doesn't explain what his daydream is. What is it, though? Mine is like my idea of what, if I think I understand him, if I had a theory, what is his daydream, how I would define it, is that he feels very content with life, that, he has his like successful career doing what he loves, and like has like this beautiful community, aside from the ones at the bottom of the barrel, like I hate you people, like they like him but they hate other people. Bottom of the barrel. Bottom of the barrel. And that he, to me, when he's written music in the past and written, and like, I swear to God, it feels as though there's sort of like, to me, an ideal girl. So this is a little bit controversial, but I've looked into, and I will admit this, I've looked into songs he's written in the past before he was Ren. I did that on purpose because it was important research for me, because I was pulling on all these ridiculous pranks on him. I needed research. I needed to know what his weakness was, and I figured it out. I put together what I think his idealized personal idealized idea of a girl is, and that I wrote Cygnus to embody all of those qualities, and that if I present myself in his space as that person, for him to recognize that the quote-unquote dream girl exists, the empathetic but kind of fiery, passionate, bold, and like, caring, and all that stuff, still, and like talented. Yeah, I'll call myself talented, whatever. uh for him to witness that, and to see that this person who didn't throw him away, like, still supports him, to me, I think if I did all of those things as a Invader and around him, that would be the thing that lets me break all of the rules, is because I understand that about him. And me being the person who can, be the example of that, he witnesses that, and I want that to be so prevalent and inspiring. That's why I like pushed really hard on this character. And I looked up, I got really deep into the research about what I think, like every piece of information I could find on like what do I think ideal perfect girl is, that he would let me break the rules. Who is that, right? So I looked into his favorite movies, I looked into his favorite anime, I looked into his favorite songs. I looked into this. It seems obsessive. It is, because by design, I needed to know information. I needed ammo. So then I put it all together in the persona. That is Cygnus. Presented to him. Inspiring person. perfect ideal in his eyes by design. It is still a form of me, but I would not have come up with this until I had the animosity to get back at him for what he did in a very complicated, convoluted way. And then so him seeing that, and plus him and his career and him trajectory of everything, that's his daydream. This is what he used to dream about and like make even songs about, but like now he's really experiencing it in real life. That's the daydream. He's living in it now. You know, successful, making money, happy, playing games, music recordings, releasing stuff, people supporting him, even if he's like, you know, a little bit lazy one day, or if he's tired another day, or if he has to take a break, people are still always going to support him, right? And then there's also going to be me. There's going to be that person who, even at their darkest moments, would still support him because it would be a good example to the world. Oh, my internet is dying. It would be a good example to him and to the world that I needed to prove that this person, all of the ideas that I have in my head of like a character I could build, that was going to be like, I needed to prove that that was possible and can exist, and like I had the most compelling reason to do it, right? I know this seems very strange, but for everybody who's been there with me from the beginning, and that like, and I know that he recognizes me when I go into the meet and greets, and I know he recognizes which person that is in chat, and I know he recognizes which person that is on Twitter. The thing is, he's not allowed to talk about me on Twitter or like recognize, even if I post art or anything, because like he's not allowed to point out attention to things that I do on Twitter, because I'm low-key like the personality I take on Twitter is it's really, it's controversial. I've talked about how I'm controversial. Okay, so to me, my understanding, and I still feel like I'm being rational about this and understanding that when you have someone like me in the community who has this history, but he's not most other people don't know the history. You know the history, and he knows the history. He can piece together the story. He has, in fact, pieced together the story. I feel as though it's the theme of the song Casket. I'll keep going through the lyrics, but uh, I just was so strong-headed about this personal like problem that I had, and I just felt so strongly about proving to him I don't hate him, even if I still have haters on my back. I still care, right? And so I just think about all the things he might want to see in a person. I be the example of those things, and to him, to see that happening in his spaces, I think would be the inspiration that makes him feel like he's living in a daydream. That is that line. So heavily loaded for one line, but only I would be able to piece that together because I was the one who experienced it. But the thing is, to everybody else, he's all like, oh, he's living in a daydream. I take that as a fact, right? But to me, I had to really think about what are his desires? What are the things he dreams about? What are the things he likes? What are the things he wants to see? What are the things he wants to accomplish? Has he done those things? Is that existing? Can I make that exist? Be the daydream. And I talk about the tweet. I talk about the tweet of, when he talks about I'm living in a daydream. There was something that happened very recently before then. And I'm not sure if I necessarily want to bring it up, but it was again it was one of those like Twitter examples of how I did something to defend myself, and him witnessing how I react to certain things about this situation I'm in his spaces. That like I've had people, ban me. I've had people this. I've had people that, and that little small bits of things that I've tweeted out, but that he can't acknowledge, have been hinted at in his streams when I'm there in chat and I get to watch and listen to those things when he's streaming. They mean a lot to me. because I'm the one who recognizes where he got those words from, because I was the one who wrote those words. I'm all like, that's really interesting for you to bring up. This feels familiar, except nobody else knows where these words come from except me, right? Nobody else knows where certain words from his stream come from, and I'm all like, oh, that's really interesting. I said something very similar on Twitter in your spaces. The thing is, it can't be like quote unquote like solidly confirmed because he can't acknowledge my tweets on Twitter because I'm controversial. But to me, it has been suggesting he does follow along with the things that I write in his Twitter. It only makes sense if you add up the whole story. If you look at it beginning to end, it only makes sense that he has been. You have to just agree with this assumption that I'm making, because if you look at all of the little pieces and put it together, this is the story that makes sense. Or else my behavior would have been like not tolerated, quote unquote, tolerated for like this long. I've been able to get through with like, people are all like, you're harassing him. I was like, you don't understand what's happening. You only just see the surface level. But for me and for him, who've been knowing about what this situation has been from the beginning till now, he's okay with my behavior, even if it's controversial. But it's like controversial in the correct way, because I knew how to make it correct. It's like a necessary evil, or like chaotic good, or something like that, or like quote unquote wrong formula, right answer. I was controversial, but I was kind of right, right? And so I pose it to him morally that like, hey, morally, I know like what I'm doing kind of suspicious along the lines of social rules, but I know I'm likely making the bet you're the type of person who wants people to go against social rules if the social rules are unfair. What I do by example is to question social rules and to act out what I think is morally good. And that I think that my morally good aligns with his morally good. For him to know that there's another person on the same page as we are to each other, that's his daydream. Right? So hard to convince people online that, but I know that people in my spaces 100% believe that. Because you know me, and the way that I just explained it to you, you're like, yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. But you know the context. Other people don't know the context. So when they see just the surface level, and he's talked about how, in the song, like, if people only know you from just now and they see how you act, they're going to hate on you. I was like, yeah, they are going to hate on me. But I'll still get away with it because I have conviction and I have reason. So the rest of the song. I'll never be a stranger bound to shackles. What don't you understand? This one is that it's me. For him, he's not a stranger to people. I'm the one who's the stranger to people. And I'm not going to be bound to the shackles of social rules. What don't you understand about that? People are all like, you're so small, you don't matter, like, nobody cares about you, he hates you. They make the assumption saying that, like, I'm annoying to him. No, only he gets to decide that. They try to defend on his behalf. I was like, no, only he gets to defend him about issues. You are not in this equation. And people are all like, anyway, they're treating me as the stranger in this situation because I am a stranger to them. That is true. And I'm technically a stranger to Ren. Technically. Like, in terms of like, person to person, he's on the other side of the world. He doesn't actually know me. But I am that stranger. However, I am not a stranger who is bound to shackles. I will not be tied down by social rules. Chat knows this. If I think there are rules that are unfair, I will question them, I will challenge them, I will defeat them. Sai, 1 more hour and then you need to end stream. Oh, well, I didn't need... there's no actual need to end stream. I have no agenda. My only agenda was that I needed to finish Spaghetti. Spaghetti's finished. I can end whenever I want. So I'm just going to keep talking about the song because I'm already on it. The part that felt, but you need to sleep? Oh, no. You have maybe a different time zone than me. It will only be In 1 hour from now, it's only 10 o'clock. I'm not going to bed. It's fine. I'm still gonna stay up after that and do like other things. But if you need to sleep because it's late for you, I understand. But I will just be talking about this because I'm already on camera. I'm already just. You said 10? Oh, no, 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 no. I didn't say 10. I said that I just needed to finish spaghetti. That's all I remember. I never had any, from what I recall, I never had a stop point. Other streams, normally I do. We have the same time zone? Yeah, anyway. I don't go to bed at 10, pretty much. Anyway, the next part is, I don't care anymore. To me, that is the attitude I take. Let's just really take in the assumption, let's apply yes. I am the character in the song. Okay? I will never be a stranger bound to shackles. The ones I just explained. What don't you understand about that? Get it through your goddamn head. I am not just a stranger. And I am not someone who will be bound to shackles. Okay? And then there's the part about I don't care anymore. To me, that is, I don't care about you haters anymore. Right? You can keep hating me. It's not going to tear me down. That's my understanding of the song. Next, we get into like the section where it's all like, I didn't fucking ask ya. I'm your daily habit. Welcome to my casket. Casket. How he's explained the song is talking about how there are these people who come after you, obsessed with you, want to just keep throwing hate at you, and when you approach them, the person who is who they're throwing hate at is all like, welcome. You know, you can keep coming here every day, but when you come here, and even if you're like throwing animosity at supposedly me, it's me, I say, welcome. I'm very nice about it. Normally, other people would be like, fuck you, fuck off, like, whatever, hate, 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 hate. They come at me with hate, ding dong, we hate you. I say, welcome to my casket. Right? The place that I will kill and bury them in. But I bury them in nice words, very welcoming words. So it's such a juxtaposition where it's all like, you wouldn't normally think about like casket and welcoming. And then when I heard it, I was all like, oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. It's not like, you know, not here's the casket, get in the casket. It's welcome to my casket. That's the empathetic part. It's all like, you know, yeah. Next part. We keep going. You thought I was a one trick. Words are made of plastic. Come back like elastic. Ick, ick. This part, that you thought I was a one trick, where does that come from in his life? I don't fucking know. But if, say, he was inspired by the actions when he was talking about maybe certain things he might have seen through my actions, behavior, is that I'm not the one trick. Other people are all like, oh, you called him out? That's your one trick. I was all like, that's the beginning of my plan. My plan is that I kept saying there was another shoe to drop. I always kept hinting at, hey, I have another shoe. Listen up. People forgot about it. And then my second trick that I pulled on him was when I showed up to WeebCon and I said, boom, I'm the artist. And I dropped that big ass bomb on him. That was the second trick. I pulled off two miracles. The first miracle, where I pulled my first trick on him, quote unquote, the social experiment. This is all a social experiment. My life is a social experiment. I socially experimented on him. That everyone thought the end of the issue was that time that I called him out about the whole thing, and you know, in my lore. I knew that when I staged that whole thing, that was just the first step to my whole plan, that it was a big, long-ass setup. The longer I cooked it, the better it was going to be when I blow him up in the face. And judging by his reaction in the meet and greet when his face blew up, perfect, fantastic. He played the part perfectly. He fell for it. That that was the second trick. Everyone thought I was just like a nobody stranger that like just called him out once and then everyone buried me after that. And then to me, I was all like, haha, that's just what I want you to think. And then I planned on getting him back with my second trick. Part after that, words are made of plastic, come back like elastic. We need to think about what plastic means in this sentence because plastic as a material has many different forms and qualities that some people who hear the word plastic think about what plastic means to them. Fake, cheap, breaks easily, opaque, certain qualities. But plastic can also be see-through, clear, thin or thick, bendable or breakable, So when I hear plastic, it means that they're so expansive and have many characteristics and qualities and can be any kind of plastic. These words are plastic. Some people are like, the words are cheap, the words are fake, whatever. To me, I'm all like, the words can be strong, they can be soft. To me, they can be clear, they can be opaque. The words, they can be, all of these different types of qualities. They can be, they could be white, could be black, could be see-through. There is no one quality. So it really depends on the context, what you understand about plastic. If you see plastic as one thing, then you think the line when they talk about plastic means one thing. To me, when I understand material condition of plastic is that it has so many qualities. He's talking about how the words that this person is speaking has so many wide range of expressions and characteristics. Other people I take it both ways. In terms of people, it's all like, you're here, you're there. You're here, you're there. You're rubber banding back and forth, elastic. You're here, you're there. Oh my god. I see your name. I don't want to say it out loud. But hi. Hi. I am 2 hours and 11 minutes into the live. I also need to record it later. I need to download the recording because I forgot to hit record. Haha, silly me. But in terms of words, what is elastic words? Thank you for the 5 Thank you for the 5 gifts. Thank you. When we talk about words that are elastic, like I said, there's this transformation of qualities between, your words are like this, your words are like that, your words are this, your words are that. Your words are soft, your words are strong. Your words are like clear, your words are confusing. Your words are loose, your words are stern. Thank you for the 10 Thank you for the 10 gifts. Thank you. So that's what I mean when I take the words come like elastic. Ick. Next part. I didn't fucking ask yet. I'm your daily habit. Welcome to my casket. Oh no, I already talked about that. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't fucking ask yet. People are throwing out hate. Maybe I did explain this, maybe I didn't. I'll just explain it again. I didn't fucking ask yet. They come at me and I'm all like, I didn't fucking ask you about your goddamn opinion, about what you have to say between what is happening, what you think you see is. Right? I was all like, I don't need your opinion. I did not ask you about your input into this. This does not concern you. You are not involved. Get out. When I hear that, that's what's going on in my head right now, is those types of interactions with people I've had. And that, that's how I've, feel internally. I wish I could be that angry. And I still am angry, but I change the way I say those words and I express it back at them. Besides cursing. Oh, no, I curse. Yeah. No, I'm, evil. Dark. people, yeah, um, yeah. I don't know how many of you know that about me, but like, oh no, oh, that's like something interesting about the song is that everybody was all like, "Holy shit, Ren cursed." I was like, yeah, I also curse. I usually just hold it back, but sometimes now when you really need to say it, you say it. So just like this song, when you really need to say it, sometimes he's quote unquote, explained it like this: the gloves are off. It's time to like just throw down, right? Full force. You're not holding back anymore. You're actually like letting them have it. You're finally actually saying something about like, to me, I kind of like blew up at these people, but not very mean. It came with like mean energy, like, yeah, it was fueled by mean energy, but I said it in a way that wasn't hateful in the same way that you would expect people to like hate back at haters. But I did end up cursing, and if you were someone who was witnessing and just like experiencing what this person is experiencing, him looking down on like, what's happening on his Twitter, supposedly, assuming that he is looking at it, and my strong case is that it does exist. You just have to assume with the rest of this interpretation of the song that is what's happening. And that he's talked about how, yeah, you know, you just like let them have it. You finally kind of just like, I've built up this well of emotions about like, I don't want to be hateful towards people. I don't want to be hateful towards people. I was all like, you know what? Snap. I snapped. At some point, I snapped. It was around the time of June, by the way. It was around the time of June. Actually, yes. If you like, I am able to like filter through and look at like my own tweets because I know where it is, and I'm able to search engine it fairly well enough of like where I can find where I finally kind of like snap back at haters, because they do it like kind of whatever. Oh my god, there's noise outside. I want to mute. Off topic, you look amazing. Thank you. Yeah, no, I knew I looked amazing, so I wanted to go on camera. But I have multiple reasons to go on camera. Kitty, you missed it, but we're on spaghetti time, and I finished, so I can end whenever I want. But yeah, you unfortunately missed spaghetti time. Yeah, the title of the stream, it's spaghetti time. Anytime I eat spaghetti, it's spaghetti. Mm-hmm. We know this. This is canon. For the rest of the song, or I'm your daily habit. This is about those people who keep checking in on me, even though they really don't have to waste their time like that. Other people who interpret this song think it's all like, I have a daily habit to Ren, which is true. But the song is actually about the whole like haters and being like above them. It's that they have this daily habit out of me to keep checking back in on the dumb shit that I do that's controversial, and they try to call me out for my controversy, except I say that I'm controversy for a good cause. I'm very empathetic about it, actually. If you knew the deep history, you would understand why. But they don't know the deep history, they see the surface level. Haters, they see the surface level, and even if you try to explain it to them, which is why I've given up on it, trying to explain it to them, is that, uh, there's certain things that they will always just refuse to see. What don't they understand about that? I'm trying to be as clear as possible about like, and they're all like, no, fake, made up, I hate you, right? But yeah, this is a song about how, they say all these hateful things, and I'm all like, I didn't fucking ask you about that, but okay. And then I'm your daily habit. Like, you keep coming back to me as my daily habit, and then, like, I know that you are coming back here. So I'm all like, welcome. Welcome to my casket. I will bury you. In nice words. Deadly, deadly, nice words. Alright? The next part. Ooh, okay. I live in your head. I live in your head. Stream me till it's dead. Stream me till it's dead. Right? That part of the song. We're on the next part. I didn't get a notification. Oh no. It's chilling. Like, TikTok is whatever. Thank you for joining now, though. Like, any amount of, like, you like kind of just like anybody who's here, who's still here, who's just like throwing me off on the side, background noise, whatever, background noise. Yeah, I'm very appreciative, even if like quote unquote late, but like I understand and I don't hold it against you. You know that. And my chair is squeaky. Um, I live in your head. Okay, so let's just take it from my perspective. Again, I know that chat will understand this. Other people who are outside of this would just like not understand this. I'm doing my art project while listening. Sick. Okay, I love it that people are being productive. So keep doing that. I'm very proud of you. Uh, I will just keep going on with like the rest of the lyrics. I was doing so well until I outlined it. Oh no, no. Uh, no, even in college, I'm tangenting. Yeah, no, people would like do all of their work, but once they got to outlining, they still messed up, and then they hated themselves for it. So college kids have that problem too. Adults probably as well. The "I live in your head" is a very interesting line if you're going to take it from my perspective, because to me, what other people mostly are like, Ren lives in their head, uh, in the sense that like people are always constantly thinking about him, and then people are all like, I'm a daily, you're my daily habit. I always come back to you, and then like you live in my head because I'm like you're all that I think about. That's one interpretation. That's the interpretation that most people have because they don't have the experiences and context as I do. But when you see the song from my frame, my lens, my view, my perspective, "I live in your head" really means I live in his head. If I've done all of the correct calculations of like how manipulative my psychological warfare is and my really convoluted mind games are, I live in his head because I have, I would say, I used a lot of therapeutic values and how I've explained my story to him, and if he's reading it, has been a form of therapy, and that I've become so well integrated into the way that he thinks or perceives certain things that he experiences, that being so well integrated that when I disappear, he would still think about me. I know, sounds weird, but trust me, it makes sense if you were there and you watch all the streams and if you were me and him. That's why like only I get to say that I have this interpretation of the song this way, because it is based on my life experience. People are confused why this song doesn't seem like him, because they're all like, where did you get some of this that you were writing, right? They're all like, it's not clear to me what casket means, because they're all like, but we know you, Ren, so where did you get this from? And he got it, my theory, from me. I am That's how I'm breaking all the rules, is because I'm the one who is sticking out for the claim that song's about me. It is. I know that, again, I hate to sound crazy like this. I do. But if you really were so detailed to piece everything together, the part where, if you believe in all of the mind games that are happening and you understand how that's affected him, but he's the only one that's really able to be able to speak on the experiences that I've been able to share with him or constructed for him through the games, that is like the lore and through Twitter, then you know how quote unquote I live in his head. But the way he writes the song is supposed to be as though the strong commanding authority, to most people that's Ren, to him that's me. That, the strong commanding authority is the one that's living in your head. However, I'm the one who's commanding over him. I've taken on like this very dominant role about like how I will never see myself as beneath you. Yes, I am a stranger. Yes, I am small. But I am far more powerful psychologically. That's how I've been able to defeat him and been able to do and get away with what I get away with, is because I understand that much and that I know he can recognize that. Because he's a person, he's not just a character. He is a person. So I came at him through trying to connect with him as a person and being able to convey all the things that I've been experiencing because of the thing that he caused. I just made it worse on myself, but it was kind of his fault. But, like, I mean, it was other people's fault, too. They're the ones who were hating on me. But his actions did not help. They were what started it all. Stream Me Till It's Dead, that one's a semi-lost on me. But if we were really sticking to, like, what do I think? Straight, deep down, my own version of what those words mean. Oh, thank you for the 1 egg. Kitty, thank you for the gift. That Stream Me Till It's Dead. So if you know about what I've been doing on Twitter, I write a lot of tweets under his tweets in these long successive chains, how they're linked together. And to have that much flow, to me, is the stream. Most people are all like, stream means the constant thing that he does that's online. Stream Me Till It's Dead, to them as the viewership, that might be the best thing that they could probably come up with, is watch his stream until it's done. To me, it's, I will keep streaming my words at you in this continuous flow all the way until you are drowned in what I have to say. But you are not going to argue with me because I am correct morally. And that you are defeated by the words that I have to say, because I always win, because I rigged the game, that I will always win, because I know how to win over you, because I've done so much goddamn research on you. I know how to beat you in every battle, for the most part. Okay, here we get to, like, the next part of the song that I think is, I would say, is pretty interesting. Don't you know I'm the prince, in my blood, in my prince. I can do what I want, cast the shadow they haunt. Yeah. So he's talked about how this is like a lore written song, using this sort of entity of him being this, like, or identity of being a prince, being, you know, like, I'm the prince, I am top shit, you are nothing, you are squander. However, me, as who I am, I'm the princess. If not, in fact, I am the empress. One higher than prince. Just saying. But he has to say prince because it's his song, so... But to me, it's the high authority. Someone who acts, or has the title of high authority over others, or to other people who can put themselves in the song, it's like, I feel as though higher authority over others. Treat them that way. That is the relationship. And so, in my blood, in my prince, to me, means by birthright, because he would have been born a prince in his lore. That is him being a prince in his blood. Through his blood, by birthright, lore-wise, he's a prince. In my prince, prince is hand prince, but hand prince is also, like, I think a synecdoche or a metonymy or a synecdoche. It's one of the other, where he's using the word hand prince. This is a rhetorical device. It's also, like, just a creative writing thing, that it's talking about your actions. You do things with your hands, so the word prince replaces hand prince, replaces action. You are both prince by the way that you are born, you are prince by the way that you act and do things. So he's talking about how you can embody a prince. Yeah, like, he can be born a prince, but do you act like a prince? And to other people who are not, like, prince per se, when I put on the whole, like, cosplay, I kind of take on the role of, like, I channel my inner princess energy into, like, I'm not just, oh, you know, princess. It's all like, princess. princess, right? So like a lot of people are all like, oh, you're like that soft, cute prince, but when you have more of that dark side, you're all like, I'm the prince, right? Next part of the song. Next part of the song. I can do what I want, cast the shadow they haunt. Yeah. So I can do what I want because you're the prince. You make up the rules. This is your kingdom. This is your domain. This is the land that you rule. You are the person, right, who can do what they want. To me, I definitely do what I want because I always do act over people when it comes to the people who don't matter because they're the haters. And don't let haters matter. Don't let haters get to you. If they get to you, there's a specific way that you should maybe respond back to them, and it's not add fuel to the flames. It's that you need to extinguish the flames, but how are you going to extinguish the flames? Maybe scream them till they're dead. I don't know. That cast the shadow they haunt. Yeah. This is to cast a shadow over something and to haunt over something is that as the larger figure, you could be metaphorically, larger, that like your overwhelming presence casts a shadow over them because they are beneath you. They are in a way that you are blocking the light from them. You are casting a shadow over them because you are just so large of an entity, right? You're so much of this prince over these others that you cast a shadow. But when you get to the part about haunt, when you think about ghosts, or haunt when you think about, my friend messaged me. Yeah, cast the shadow they haunt. If haunting someone is sort of just kind of somewhat like following them around and scaring them, right? It's all like they're also a scary force, is what it is. Overlooming, scary force. So, haunting can also add a little bit of touch of that like ghost lore about, if you are, there's both this overwhelming presence, but there's also an overlooming presence of like how the ghost is haunting him. From my perspective, me, the ghost, about the ghost, haunts him for his actions and holding him accountable. I'm also haunting over the other people who come towards me that I have welcomed to my casket, but I am also how I act so larger than them because I treat them as they are smaller. They, like, yeah, I'm coming off with the sense that, I haunt over them, I cast a shadow over them by being large, scary figure. That's what I'm saying. Next. So why do we keep coming back from the dead? What was the word that you said? And it repeats over. So this part also gets a little interesting about if we're taking it specifically again from my perspective. Don't go spreading this information outside of the stream. This is more of like a us thing because we know. And if you, again, the reason why I don't tell other people this is because they, again, will do that obsessive thing where they throw hate at me again. I don't want people to throw hate at you because you're also very innocent in this situation. And so please don't defend me. Please don't bring this up with other people. This is more of an us thing where I feel safe to be able to speak about this experience with my chat of how I intertwined our lores to the point that, like, I've convinced him that I am, like, of a certain stranger, but I am also one that is very strong. Very large acting. Large acting. I don't necessarily need to be large. But the way that I present myself as, I am princess quality like. I also kind of like to think empress, If we're gonna take hierarchy into account, I am above him. Psychologically, mentally, intelligent wise, I am above him. The way that I act is meant to be as though I'm above him. That's the point of like the character. The character is to be dominating because I need to dominate over him so that he can get my point. It's hard to separate where is Cygnus and where is person, but you know the person is fueling Cygnus. Cygnus is written to be that character that is somewhat like the one that's being described in this song, and the one that hi, you're in my stream. I have to act a certain way while I'm on stream. It's still it's borderline both between me and Cygnus. So why do I keep coming back from the dead? What was the word that you said? So there is someone who is disappeared and somewhat dead, kind of like ghosted. They are like dead to the point that they're ghosts, and you ghost them. You don't interact. You're dead. You're gone. Whatever. But why do you keep coming back? You were dead. Thought you died. You're back. It was because, hey, what was that word that you said just now? And you're back. You were dead. You heard something. You're like, oh shit, what did you just say just now? What did you actually just say just now? Because now I'm interested. I'm back. I'm back from the dead, to come haunt him. Because he said something and he alluded to acknowledgement. He cannot directly, but he can indirectly through coded. It's so hard to explain. But there is this stream of small, constant little sprinkles of like, hey, these are words that you said, but I repeated them back, but in the middle of stream. And I'm like, did you just say that? I was like, no shot. Because every time he does that, every time I say something and he relays it back through stream, I'm like, what'd you just say? Huh? Excuse me? What? And usually when I like catch the reference and I type it in chat, he'll like laugh. It's like the timing wise, when you catch all of the, if you do the math and the time, this story only makes sense if you understand. I type something on Twitter, he takes parts of it, hints at it in his stream. I catch what he says, I type it into chat. Sometimes I come out of nowhere, out of the freaking woodwork. I'm disappeared, but I come back, and then I'll like boop, and then actually quite a few of the times when I comment something, he does read it out loud in stream. I'm like, oh shit, wait, actually, wait, you get it, you get what just happened there. I said something, you said something, I caught what you said, I said it back to you, and you caught it again. It's me who's coming back from the dead. What was that word that you just said? I'm like, that's why I keep coming back. If he calls out to me and says something that I know would be remarked as significant, I make a remark on it and express to him, like, I just pointed it out. You pointed out something that I'm now pointing. I point out something to him, he points it back out, and I point it back out that he pointed it out, and I'm all like, huh? And every time that happens, it makes me really happy. That's why I say that I've been happy these days, because that's been happening. And that's been happening for months. That, like, you know how, like, Matt's been here and, like, other people have been here, and those who do follow the lore, like, closely on Twitter, and people who've expressed this to me who are, like, not in my chat, but they're, like, other people online, and who know me and know the context, they have followed along how it all ties in together. Because I have the same reaction as they have the same reaction as they have the same reaction of when they read what I say, then they also hear what he says, and then they read what I comment, and they're all like, they get it. They also get it too. But it's like such a small community that, like, of his thousands of viewers, commenters, likers, whatever, like, followers, they don't know that. They listen to his song, but they don't know that. because I'm the ghost that's haunting him, right? But it's been trying to be kept over a secret. You need to dominate over him? Yes. Yes. I've pushed out more of my dominating side. I already had one. But as Cygnus and as Rena cosplayer, I pushed it out even further because I took a bet. Because remember when I said okay, maybe you weren't there for that, but like I've done a lot of research on like what do I think is like his ideal, right? If I had to take a guess, it was someone who's dominating and can beat him over things, right? Someone who can act larger than him. He is already large top shit online. He needs someone to take him down a peg. Even if it's me, the smallest person online, I can show how powerful I am by still taking him down. Through my words, because it doesn't need to be numbers. Right? Social arguments do not need to be L plus ratio. It's I stream you till you're dead. Okay? I will keep making my argument until you're done. Right? Next part. No, those are all the words. There we go. And it is 2:40. Maybe we'll end soon. So, that's so interesting because I always had like sort of this intent to type that all out. I have like half of it typed out, but I never finished typing it out. But I've now had the chance to say my interpretation of the song. I got interrupted a few times. That's fine. I can edit it out. If I wanted to, I could take this video. If I was gonna make like a lore video part 3, maybe it would be out of this live, maybe. But it is now recorded my own personal version of what casket means. However, it is a very secret hush-hush version because it's controversial. If you speak about this with other people who don't know the context, they will throw hate at you the same way they threw hate at me. Because they hate me, they will find you and they will hate you too, right? And I don't want anyone in my community to get more hate over because that's already happened. I'm gonna take a shower soon. I'm gonna clean off this makeup, but I look really nice. I'm really glad. I'm glad that I streamed today because one, I got to eat. I don't know. I get to hang out with you. I know there's not a lot of you here because it's not a game, right? But I trust the people here, right? I feel safe. Like the names that are here, the ones that are commenting, the ones that are, even if you're just like leaving me on in the background, I recognize your names, and I know that you're all good people. I believe, from my own interpret, from what 4 people still here. Yeah. No. Slay size. Slay. Exactly. Yeah. So you know that like my whole lore is about like no matter how small you are, you can make a difference. This was the whole point I was trying to prove for the past year. For like a lot of you have been here for at least more than like 6 months at this point, right? Like 8 months, something, right? Because I only started streaming like as Cygnus more seriously after that thing that happened, right? So anyone who's met me from that point and knows me through till now, all of that happened, right? You were there from before I went to WeebCon. You were there for, blah, 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 and this happened. And now we're here today, where after he's released Casket. If you've known me for the entire time, I know I have. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So maybe if you don't know much about Ren, I know that, but I've just explained the song. Oh, but you came here like halfway in between of my explanation. Okay, but yeah, no. But for the most part, I think you do know like my version of the lore part 1, right? But yeah, so the lore, my own story, I feel as though maybe for somehow I'm not that person in the song. Somehow. It is completely irrelevant. Like a lot of people want to argue. That like, no, you've been here since 22? Probably 22 because I wasn't this character in 21 because I was a different account. But yeah, so uh, then if it wasn't me, what the hell is his song about that can explain the whole narrative? If it wasn't the story that I was the example of, right? I'm a streamer too. I have an audience too. Right, I'm a content creator too, but everyone just says that you're the really annoying ass invader that nobody likes, right? Like, oh, we ban you this, like we even hate your chat too. That's why I need to be careful about what I tell you, and that you cannot go tell other people out there if you're in certain spaces. Certain ones that are also invaders here, you're both a charter and a invader, and you know the whole story. Like, you also have to know that you have to be careful about how you talk about me or if you associate with me. I'm totally okay with people just like pretending you don't know me for your own safety online. Is because like I've had people in my stream get doxxed because they knew me, right? So I don't want that to happen to other people. They had like derogatory terms thrown at them. I don't know which terms, I just know that they were bad, how it was explained to me. So, if you take my story and it fits, the whole goddamn thing fits. And I know I have a large impression on him. Because I also know there was the time that I left his streams for a while to get back at him for another part of my prank, and that after a long enough time when I went silent, I kept threatening about how, you're gonna miss me if I disappear, right? A lot of people are like, no shot. No. He's gonna be glad that you're gone. No, he was miserable. He does recognize now that I was aiming to be so well integrated into his daily routine and the way that he thinks and goes about his life, and have occupied a certain amount of his routine that you know through the tweets or through the interactions on stream and through the whatevers, that once that's gone, and I threatened that if it's gone for good, a portion of your life will feel like a hole, right? And you don't really know what that feels like until it's gone. The thing that you care about, that you're all like so inspired by this story and that this person exists, but supposedly, in a way, what if I had kept telling him, what if I do listen to everybody? I leave. Everyone who tells me to leave, I leave. I know what's going to happen to you because I know how well integrated, I know this sounds crazy, how well integrated I've become a part of your life on purpose, by the way, calculated. You're welcome. That I am a very good influence on your life. That's why you've let me stick around for so long, even though I literally kept telling people, like, if he wants me gone, if what I do is harassment, ask me to leave. But it has to be him, because only he gets to defend him. For him to not call me out on the stuff that I do that everyone hates me so much for, is that he's on my side. And because I know why he's on my side, because of the story that I have to tell, because he's the one that's at fault, and I was just there to teach him a lesson, and that me as a content creator and me as the inspiration to you in chat is that you get to watch this story unfold, and that I have my story to tell. Why does it have to get buried in the sand just because he's bigger? No. This is not something that gets to be buried in the sand. I'm going to bring it up. Right? I know I have all those haters that come after me. I'm all like, well, I didn't fucking ask you. Right? This is between me and him. Like, my story and how he's a part of that story. And how his story and that I'm a part of it. Right? He's a part of my story. I'm a part of his story. Because I wrote it that way. And then it manifested into something real. Right? when, like, everyone else is all like, oh, well, when he has interactions with other people, those are real. So why do people want to so quickly discredit me? It's because they're all like, well, you're small. Well, he doesn't actually talk to you. I was like, it gets hard to explain because of the limitations, right? So I only get to go based off of my inklings, my hinting, but like I'm smart enough to know how to question myself and I know how to question others, right? It's not like oh, I'm deluding myself into thinking like, it's not that. It's not. Trust me. I'm smart enough to realize if that was happening, I needed to prove a point that the you can deconstruct the dominant narrative. The dominant narrative being like, oh, well, in a normal circumstance, if it wasn't me, it was someone else, that might have been the case. That would have likely been the case about like, oh, well, there's just this person that's trying to hate on Ren, and we're just gonna take him down because you're just online trash, right? You're just no way. They treat me like that because they think that's what the story is. But the story's not like that. That's why that hasn't happened to me in the sense that, right? Like, if he had an actual issue with a member and it was like this problematic, he would have taken care of it. But because I am not the same story as the ones of the dominant narrative that people are very quick to assume about parasocialism or delusional actions, behaviors, thinking, right? Right? That like a lot of people are all like deluding themselves to how they feel about celebrities. This is different. I needed to prove that my story was real. I needed to, like, I was like, no, this definitely did happen. It's just hard to explain. I can explain it to chat because you were there for the context. But the thing is, like, to other people, it's so hard to believe that they just straight up think it's impossible. And I'm all like, no, but it is possible. Even if so many people online try to tell me wrong, fake, dumb, bitch, whatever. Like, I could tell. I could tell that there was a possibility that I could bet on that I could get the story across to him. Truly. And to teach him a lesson. To hold him accountable about all these things. You were sleeping, you had a nap. Welcome back. Welcome back from your nap. Everyone take a sippy sip of water. It's 2 hours and 51. No, almost 52. Pretty much 2 hours and 52 minutes into the stream. And that's the story. Alright. It's interesting. If I wasn't a streamer, well, I only became a streamer to prove the story, right? To like actually have content created out of this. Had a real reason to like, it's inspiring how you keep going to tell the story you've created despite all the hate you get. Thank you. Thank you. Because that was the point. That was the whole point. Was that if I could still be this strong, that's his daydream. That someone out there in this world exists to be this strong, to tell this story, to act this way that I do, right? In his space. And that he gets to witness it. He gets to experience it. And he's all like, holy shit, people like you actually exist. Wow. And you're extremely controversial. But that you do it in the way that I'd be able to understand it. His voice, right? But yeah, people online aren't gonna get that because they think you're just another like crazy, right? You're like, you're just like this some like crazy bitch who can't think straight, like right? That's them, but that's not me, right? They're doing that whole thing where they're like, we're gonna discredit you because you're just you're just not saying things clearly. No, no, that they're the ones who are not just, they're never open. People keep bothering me and I can't do anything about it. I don't like it when people talk through my door. I can't wait till I'm freaking. Eventually, we have plans to like move into another house. We're gonna split up the family, and it's gonna be like me and my brother, and like I'm finally gonna have like my own space where people aren't gonna barge into my goddamn door, and just talk through the door, right? Oh god, this always happens. It always throws me for a loop. Anyway, uh, yeah, no, pretty much. I wanted to show and compare that there's a difference between delusional girlies who think, oh my god, he's looking at you. Oh my god, I have attention from him. Oh my god, I'm so big and important because he like sees me. I'm like perceived. Right? Those are those girlies, right? Delusional girlies, right? But how come they get to say like that they have this presence? Why don't I get to say that? When I actually do. Because I psychologically recoded his brain through therapy about I no, I straight up I hijacked. Where is it? I have something. Where is it? It should be there. Oh. I have the textbook on how to psychologically manipulate yourself and other people into being good people towards yourself and others. I have the book that I studied for 1 year on how to become a better person and treat other people, with compassion and empathy. This sets me apart from the delusional girlies. Because the delusional girlies didn't go to therapy. I graduated from therapy. I fucking solved my problems. I only pretended to act crazy just to throw hate on me on purpose. This is really convoluted, I know. But I just needed to make things extra difficult because then it's a more compelling story to pretend to act really bad to the point that you did get haters that, I need to sit. I'm just gonna sit up. I know I'm bumping into a lot of things. Uh, I, 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 I'm so much of a troll that I, I took advantage of the fact that people are knee jerkers online, and I wanted to troll them. And if I could get them to throw hate at me, and so that be the setup that I can respond back to them, that becomes like how I present myself through action. But I needed actors onto me so that I can act back and then show them I was actually empathetic the entire time, pretending to act crazy because I knew how to act crazy. But the thing is, like, if you act crazy, but people see that you're crazy, they just think that you are crazy. No, I'm just crazy good at acting. Wait, Chad also knows this about me, about how, like, I kind of, like, switch in between, like, oh my god, I'm so fucking crazy, versus, like, I'm a nice, genuine person, right? Like, you can hear the swings and the inflections about, like, I throw a lot of personality into the way that I speak, right? And that's, like, the engaging part. People are like, I always want to keep listening to you because you always sound like you have something interesting to say, which is true. But I can have like really mundane shit and still make it sound interesting because I'll also still find a moral of the story and just express that. I was all like, some dumb thing happened, but I found entertainment out of it. Like, I made a mistake, but I know how to make that as an opportunity to grow into a better person. Like, I always take things in a way of like, how can you see it differently and how can it be useful to you? How can you like just like, grow as a better person? How do you like, avoid hating yourself, right? But yeah, I yeah, sorry. I'm like biting my lip because there's like little pieces of like parts that are. Like if I went up really close to the camera, you'd probably be able to tell that my lips are kind of dry. So I can feel how dry my lips are, but licking them won't really do that much better. But yeah, just like full transparency, like if I never went through the course of like learning what is in this book, I would not have been able to pull off what I did the past year. It is specifically because I invested time into discovering myself and invested time into fixing my freaking goddamn shit that I didn't want it to like impact other people anymore. But that if I were to impact people, it was going to be like for good. This is like holy grail when it comes to like being empathetic towards others and yourself. It talks about like, oh, if you have a problem between you and someone else, these are concrete ways to solve your problems. You know, when people talk about you need professional medical help, I got the professional medical help. I actually did it, right? People are all like, oh, you need fucking help, right? I told myself I need to get help for myself from like, problems that I was dealing with in like life, college, growing up, trauma, the whole shebang, right? Anyone who grew up with like a toxic family and environment or friends, like, you kind of grew up with some developmental problems that by the time you got to college and you were on your own, you were kind of like fucked because like things weren't the same anymore and you needed to be able to like be in this environment with other people. For the most part, you're going to be seeing a lot of new people when you're in college that you finally really discover yourself because you're on your own now. You're not relying on other people to like be your personality, that you are your personality. And that I had kind of a shitty personality growing up that when I was in college, I was like really crappy. Uh, but that like through what I experienced, that I told myself I didn't need someone else to point out to me, like, hey, you need to get help. I knew where the direction of my life was heading, that I told myself, I think it would be a good idea if I did this. I got myself enrolled and they gave me homework. You get like weekly homework out of this book of like, it was practically kind of close to similar like a college course of like they give you a book, you get assigned readings, you do the homework, you come back and you talk about the homework and the readings, and you talk about how like the whole group that you're with, and so you learn about other people's experiences and you hear about how they handled things and you learn about mindfulness. This is the book on mindfulness, empathy, and compassion, pretty much, and ending suffering, ending your self suffering, right? And it's also based on Buddhism as well, but it's therapy. It's therapy. A lot of therapy is based on Buddhism. That's, yeah. It's about the concept of and ways to reduce suffering. I know that. And I knew that the entire time. This is the thing that's redeemed me. That when, well, I was like already kind of like, an empathetic person, but this thing right here really changed a lot of things for me. Right? And so when I was only pretending to act crazy, I was trolling because I knew that people would throw hate on me, but I needed to set up a condition where these people were throwing hate on me so that when I act back, I know this is so crazy, but I did do this and I did do it on purpose because it's a social experiment and I wanted to prove that like this could happen and that things could be handled this way and that these effects that I predicted specific things would happen 1 year from now, and then those things happened. People were just so crazy. The thing is, I said it 1 year ago, and people are like, how can you see 1 year into the future, you crazy bitch? And I said, I'm just that crazy good. But I had to stick it out with the story that I invented and wrote for, like, I predicted a lot of things. I was all like, this is gonna happen, this is gonna happen, this is gonna happen. And one by one, eventually over time, those things did happen because I pushed for those things to happen. I was all like, if I do this in this order and do these things and say these things and get his attention in this way and do it like this over and 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 over again, brainwash the fuck out of him. Um, I it took a lot of trust building because, like, he wasn't gonna trust me a lot in the beginning because I was acting as a crazy person, but only to marinate him so that when I drop the bomb on him, boom, I'm actually very empathetic, just a huge troll. Like, that's what I was cooking, right? That was the thing I cooked, and boom, served him in the face. He got punched psychologically, right? He's like, ugh. But it had to be through the form of psychological horror because that's one of his favorite genres. So I needed to deliver it in the form of a psychological horror. However, and I've explained this before, that requires me being psychological and horrible, which people are like, psychological and horrible, where have I seen that before? Oh, crazy parasocial people. I was doing it pseudo logically. I don't know, whatever. I know what that looks like, and I know that if those people have certain behaviors online, I mimicked it to fake it. I am the same sane person who is speaking to you right now as I was then. I just said different words. But I chose to say things that sounded crazy. Social experiment. I know. Really, really terrifying because real world consequences, but real world results, real world effects, right? Because of the lessons he's learned through me are things that he brings up now in his streams, but that it's also because it aligns with his morals and things he would say as well. He could say it, right? And that affects his audience, right? My argument is that because of all the things that I did and how the story has elapsed over time, that has had so much of an effect on him that is also now he's distilled parts of that story and reformulate it into a way that is successful content on his channel about how he speaks about certain things or how he handles certain things, inspired through some of my actions, and that has converted into success for him because I calculated that. I was always intending on that if I could do this, that this would happen in the future. He just needed to trust me long enough until we got there. I asked him that 1 year ago. Like, hey, I'm really just trolling. I'm actually a good person. It was supposed to come off as this. Hey, this seems crazy now, but give it 1 year. It will all make sense, right? It was pretty much like I know you're a troll. I'm betting on you being a troll. I am also a troll who's also trying to communicate to you that I'm doing this for a very good reason. However, it's not going to be explained. It will be told and through actions and time. But you need to, like, give me the time. Please invest this time. I swear it pays out. But everybody else's perspective is all like, don't trust this person, beware. Literally, there's accounts that say beware of Cygnus. I have people who impersonate my account. They, like, copied my account and then they blocked me on that account. But scary thing, do you know how scary it is? I was at a convention and they were asking for, like, my Twitter or my Instagram, and I was searching it up on their phone. I typed my name and 2 accounts pop up. But when I went to go search for their account on my phone, that their name is blocked. That was really scary to find out while I was at a convention. Crazy, right? There are people who have accounts that have blocked me and, say slanderous things or, like, try to do whatever, right? The other person who is, like, super nice to me, like, I know who they are on Twitter, and we've hung out at 2 different conventions now. Like, we were both at the That's Crazy. Yeah, exactly. That's Crazy. Right? Funny. They were a Kill Me cosplayer. The person that I was looking at their phone. Yeah, they handed me their phone. I went onto Twitter. I went to type my username. Two names show up. A name I have never seen. I have searched my own name on Twitter. Other accounts don't pop up. When I searched on someone else's phone, multiple, not just me, show up, right? I was like, what? I'm so controversial. People impersonate my account. I knew about the ones that made hate accounts, the ones that specifically have like a profile picture with like me xed out or some shit, and then like some weird ass title that says like their name is all like "Don't trust this person." Their their banner, you know, the Twitter banner is like some of my tweets about like this person's crazy. Maybe make an alt for a situation. Oh no, I have my other accounts, right? Like I have two, three, whatever accounts. I don't I'm so invested. I'm eating popcorn while watching LOL. Yeah, no, exactly. So you know about the whole like yeah, I know, right? That's the tea. But that's why I didn't want to talk about what happened at the second convention when I went to go see him at the other meet and greets because that's kind of stuff happened. I get very scared a little bit about what people because I now interact with real life people who are real life fans, not just online fans, right? You meet them in the at conventions, and I'm all like, please don't look at what I do on Twitter. It's not good. It's very hard to explain and it's controversial. Very few people who, you know, follow me on Twitter and have met me at a convention are okay with my behavior because they actually are like old enough to understand what's happening. But if you're too young and have not had enough life experience to be able to perceive or understand what's happening, they only know how to see the world through their lens. A reduced percentage of what they can, like, you know, if you don't have the language or the experience or the knowledge or the thereof to figure out what's like you are going to see life at like 180p, okay, right? The story is told 1080, but they're like watching it in like 240, right? Like 144. Wait, what is pixels again? Was it like 144? Is 144p like one of the resolutions? I'm trying to remember my resolutions. There's like 1080, 720, 480, 360, something like that. 240, 144. I don't know. They're watching me at like 360p. Okay? But there's so much resolution they've missed that it's degraded the quality of what they understand. If they can only perceive me through like the fuzzy lens, and they're all like, "You're so fuzzy, we don't understand you." But other people who can understand me or have the capacity to watch me, understand, perceive me through 1080 or like 2160. Yeah, there's like higher resolutions now. There's 4K, 2K, whatever. That they're all like, "Oh, you're clear and we understand you." Other people who have a reduced lens and have not as much capacity are looking at me at 360p and they're all like, "You're so fuzzy, we don't understand you." You're like, "What did you say? We don't understand you." Like, blah, blah, blah. The stream is so bad, right? So, like, the stream is good if you can understand it. It is absolutely god shit awful if you can't, if you don't have the capacity to perceive everything that I'm explaining. I'm all like, are you even open to understanding that you could be wrong and other people could be right, even though it seems not possible to you? You need to allow yourself to be open to the idea that what you think is impossible could actually be possible. That's my whole shtick. That's my whole story, right? To be able to envision the impossible and make it become possible concretely through action, like belief and ideas that lead into actual action, and those actions have effects on people, it becomes real, right? It was just unprecedented, right? Someone like me and my story and something like this to happen is an unprecedented story. But I knew how rare and unprecedented it is that I wasn't going to let the opportunity to slide by me, bury it in the sand per se, um, because it was too good of a story not to tell. However, because I knew the structure of the story, I do a little bit of story writing. I knew that and study, like I watch media to study what is a successful storyline and how do you develop character over time, how do you resolve conflict, how do you set up conflict if you were writing the story. I knew how to make the story even juicier, but I needed to throw in a rival. But in order to get a rival, I needed someone to hate me so that by comparison, I look better because I know how to act. Like, I could predict if I could quote unquote trigger someone to do certain things towards me, if I could predict that, I would be ready how to handle that situation. And I know exactly how I want to handle the situation. The problem is that it's not a story written down in like a book that you're reading that's like quote unquote fiction. I took story elements of like stories that, you read stories and you're entertained by them and they have morals. I took those same morals and plot elements and I put it into real life. The progression of character development and like, I built character profiles for myself, how I approximated other people. I pre- pretended as though if this was a story, I was like, if I was like, isekai'd into like a story, like what would that story look like? And then I wrote it into the form of what story I want to see in real life, right? Like, it kind of comes off as like fiction because it borrows a lot of fiction, but that the lessons that you can learn from it can still be applied to real life, right? I took the inspiration of what is my ideal story that I want. What kind of resolution do I want? Okay, assume that like everything that I just explained and the blah 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 story was a story in a book, right? Imagine all of whatever, all these characters, all of these like real life people. Pretend it was a book, like an actual book on a shelf. You read it and you read through it. You're like, oh my God. Like the way that you were saying, you're like, this story is like super interesting. I'm super invested in on blah, 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 blah. Sorry, I'm tired, but I still want to watch the live. Oh, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah. You probably have like, do you have school tomorrow? You probably have like school tomorrow. It's like Monday or whatever. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'll head off the live soon. I'll head off the live soon. Um, but yeah. So, but that's maybe okay. Max, we cap it on the 30-minute mark. So like what 10:30? Yeah, max. Cut me off at like the 30-minute mark. 10:30 for me. Um, but yeah, like I just um took some advice that I got from online and blah 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 and whatever blah blah blah. Like, how do you like? People are like, oh well, the real world doesn't like work like that, and people are all like, well, you gotta be realistic. I was like, well, what real properties are you going based off of? Right? I do have school tomorrow. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. See, streams are gonna be harder now. I have to like cut them shorter because I know people have school. So I really hope you do well in school tomorrow. Uh, very glad and happy to have you back, and also very glad that people are here to listen to this story. Uh, but yeah, imagine I just took what I thought would be like I took all of the values from my favorite series and I applied that to my life. I was all like, if I'm in a situation similar to what they're going through, what did those characters do? Right? I learned from what they did. And it's not like some of the elements, fiction wouldn't actually happen in real life. But I was all like, but there's lessons in there that if you face a certain situation, there's a certain way to go about it that, like, oh, things like compassion and less suffering mostly, or like how to see yourself, how to dig yourself out of problems, right? Life throws a problem out at you, tries to bury you in the sand. Do you come back to haunt people, to like tell them like, hey, you can't fucking do that to me, right? I'm another person, I'm another life. The way that I was treated is not okay. And I would do this the same in real life, like person to person as opposed to online to online. I would do the same thing, right? I was all like, I I like I've just been so inspired by media that my life feels very story-esque, but because I try to write plot elements into my life. It's just that other people don't do that or they don't see their life as that. But I'm all like, maybe you should, actually. Maybe you should plan out character development in your life. Maybe you should follow these morals from these stories from successful series. They're successful because they're supported. They're supported because they're impactful. They're impactful because when you feel inspired by what happens in these stories, that you're motivated to do some of those types of things in your own life. And that, if you feel distressed and like the way that the character is distressed, you relate to those characters because you're going through the same thing. You read or find out and you watch what happens to those characters, and you're all like, you learn from that, right? And then when you find a way to use that knowledge that you've gained and incorporate it into your own experiences. I'm on 1%. You should charge your phone. I don't. I've never let my phone get down to like 1% before. That just doesn't happen. Yeah, I gotta. I want to like. I'm getting to the point where I really. It's charging. Okay, good, 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 good. It's charging. Yeah, I really want to take my makeup off. I can already feel like how shiny I am. I mean, yeah, the ring light is bouncing and whatever, and it's like giving me like lighting. I'm shiny because I'm oily. Why did I say that? No, I'm just really honest. I have 9 minutes left. But yeah, I don't know how much more I'm going to talk about this sort of subject. I kind of liked that I did go into this and it's, like kind of somewhat semi conveniently all together in this VOD that for the most part I wanted to just like get it all out, right? So, yeah, that's the most I've kind of spoken about my lore in a while, mostly because I haven't been on stream. But glad that I did. Glad that I was able to just like it's funny because I don't really look into the camera and talk. I look at my screen that's on the like my monitor and I just talk to that person. Well, I'm reading chat, right? But when I talk, I kind of just like stare at my own face and then I just like watch my expressions. It's kind of interesting, right? There's people who are like, "Oh, well, I talk directly straight into the camera." But I most of the time talk to me. I mostly do that. I look at the way that I'm talking. I'm all like,